Hello, everyone. This is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. And tonight we're speaking with a very good friend of mine, Nancy Mueller. Nancy is a communications expert. She works with executives to uplift and polish their brand. And she's also a published author and a very successful blogger and writer. She's had many transformations in her life, and some of them I think are going to surprise you. But it's my pleasure to welcome her here tonight, Nancy. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Margaret. Thanks so much for having me here.
It is my pleasure. You know, you have lived such a fascinating life, and I'd just like to start off by sort of level setting where you have been.
Well, I tell people that I received my master's degree in a very marketable field, first of all, starting my professional career. That was a master's in comparative literature. Thank you very much. And people always say, well, what do you do with that? And this is what I have done with that degree. So I started out teaching English as a second language, did that for many years, and then I went on to direct a program for adult learners of English as a second language. And from there, I morphed into doing corporate training. And so I did communications, customer service, and always at the forefront was cross-cultural communications, because that has been my passion, learning from people from other cultures. And I have been able to create that career working inside companies. So now, after many years of doing diversity training, I'm really focused on cross-cultural communication.
The 60 Me community is an incredibly diverse audience, and I've found through our conversations that so many things that we take for granted in the West are not quite the way that they do things in other parts of the world. And I think as women over 60, we've got pretty good at navigating and sensing, with those differences. So how has your age as a woman, helped you in that kind of those kinds of circumstances?
As a woman, I'm not saying that men don't, but I think that we women are very collaborative. I think that we're willing to express our vulnerability and to ask questions. So I think in that sense, perhaps that's helped me. And always just to be open, open to learning and just making new discoveries, whether it's people or learning about customs, courtesies, the food. That's always a wonderful window into another culture.
But you haven't sort of stopped there, because I know that that was, that has been your work for some time, but your heart and your passion is in what lies behind that, which is your love of travel and writing. And of course, I know you've written a book on this topic, and it'd be great if you could share that with the audience, that, the book you wrote on working worldwide and how that's led you to your travel writing career.
Yes, it's really interesting to see how we craft a career, I think. And the way the book came about was I was asked to give a workshop on international careers. And I really couldn't find the one book that I wanted that I thought would be suitable for the class. There were many books that were directories of information, contact information, phone numbers. But I wanted to focus on the process, because it's different enough applying for a job abroad than it is when you're doing that at home. And so the book was born, and it was about 9 months. So that's why I say it was absolutely born. And I think from that experience, there were a few parts in there where I was describing different cultures, just little paragraphs about other cultures. And I enjoyed that, but tucked it away, focused on my other work. And then a few years ago, just decided to resurrect that passion and the travel. My daughter's a little older now, was easier to do. And the writing just seemed to coincide with that as part of my communications interest. And I started doing travel writing and have taken some extraordinary trips in the last couple of years and hope to continue doing that.
I know a lot of women in the community have spoken about, the passion for writing that kind of emerges when when you've lived a while, you've been through different, phases in your life, and you start to appreciate, the world and the things that you see when you travel in a very different light. But I know that you're writing now a blog, and I think you have a special role in representing our age group in that as well.
I do. It's part of a website called Wanderlust in Lipstick. And I am Wander Boomer. I'm one of a community of bloggers. And so, yes, I'm here to represent the active, adventurous woman over age 45 and her friends and families because we are well connected. And to really write about different topics that I think will appeal to that age group.
What do you think about the right travel writing as a career for women? Do you think that we're well represented in that area?
Well, I think traditionally it has been male dominated. It's the nature of the beast. It has been, but I certainly have seen a number of women come into it. And of course, that's the exposure that I have. So I know a lot of women travel writers. And we we combine it sometimes with other careers. I think it is very challenging to make a full-time career out of travel writing, but it is a natural evolution, as you said. I think for women our age, it's a wonderful time for us to use writing to clarify maybe what parts of our lives have meant, to put things in perspective. And I also use my writing as a roadmap to the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really just helps solidify maybe what had been stirring inside, but I really hadn't conceptualized it.
Mm-hmm.
So that writing helps me do it. And it gives a voice to what some of those experiences have been.
That's a really great image. I was just getting enchanted by your description of that. I could feel how much that means to you. But have you seen everything you want to see in the world? That's a silly question. Of course you haven't. Where do you still want to?
I haven't.
Where do you still want to go?
Yes, I have 2 continents I have to get to, and then I will go into all 7. And so that's Antarctica, and the other is Australia. So
okay.
I'm working on trying to do both of those. And the next fun adventure that I know of, I have planned, is a ride in a hot air balloon, which I have never done. And
Wow.
I should have mentioned that I'm a little scared of heights, but hey.
You did mention that in the application.
I didn't mention that, no, to my guide. So,
mm-hmm. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. Well, Nancy, you are so adventurous. I love your spirit. So tell us, and I know that there's a couple of things that have happened in your life that have been significant reinventions, but one which I has been an equally challenging and perhaps terrifying experience. With your personal life. Do you want to share that with us? I think the community would love to hear the story.
Well, yes. I adopted a daughter from China at the age of 49. And, she's a teenager now, so we can all kind of do the math on that. And it was a frightening experience when I think about it. I mean, it was something I always wanted to do. The opportunity presented itself. And but I had to make sure that we weren't too old, and talked with a lawyer and he said at the time 49 is the perfect age, which no one ever says, right? That 49 is the perfect age for whatever. So we proceeded and went ahead, and it really was only when we were taking the classes leading into the actual process of going to China. And I remember we were holding up, we had to learn about doing baby formula because we didn't know how old she would be. And I remember holding up this mixture that we had made and kind of looking at it. But I remember looking at it through my bifocals thinking, uh-oh, what's, trying to get a really good fit. Where's that line exactly going? Uh-oh, now getting an inkling of maybe what I had signed up for. I'm wondering, is this going to work?
That's a very funny story. But she survived, so all is well.
I survived. Unfortunately, she didn't need formula by the time we picked her up, so we were kind of over that hump.
No,
yeah, and it's been wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
How have you found it as a mom? Was it frightening to you to take that on?
It was so natural. It was absolutely so natural. I was not. I mean, I knew how much fun it would be. I don't think I realized how happy I would be. So that was a great revelation, and it just keeps coming, so it's been extraordinary.
No, that's so wonderful. And you've raised and discussed here a really interesting point. We discuss it a lot in the community, which is this ability to really reinvent yourself and to really go for whatever you want that's going to make your life richer and connect with your true self. And I think that's just a wonderfully brave thing to have done. And it's a great adventure. But you are just constantly reinventing yourself. And I know there's one other final story that I would love you to share with us, which is about
Oh,
your physical transformation that you took, and
yes.
tell us how that all went, because I think that's a huge inspiration for many of us in the community. So tell us your story there.
Well, I think some of your listeners may recognize the name of Clinton Kelly, and he and Stacey London host a show, What Not to Wear, here in the United States. And Clinton was going around to various cities in the United States and asking for people to apply if they wanted a makeover. And I thought, of course. I mean, what woman wouldn't love that opportunity? It wasn't to be on TV, but it was going to be walking, the catwalk and in front of an audience. And so I applied, and people would say, oh, no, I mean, you don't have a chance and all of that. And I submitted my little video. It was a 1 minute video, and I just said that, I was having a landmark birthday. I wanted to be professional, but sassy, professional, but fun, and that I wanted to, be a good role model for my daughter. She was getting to the age of, certainly giving me her opinions of what I should be wearing. And so lo and behold, I had a phone call one Monday morning from Macy's, New York, and they said, you have been selected. And I was one of 12 out of over 800 applicants. So it was great fun. We did get to walk the catwalk with 600 people in the audience. And then right before I was to go out, we were all backstage watching the monitor. And I was right in the middle of all the women going out. And we were all ages. And then as I was just about to go out, and he said, well, next up is Nancy, and she's 60. And everyone backstage just covered their mouth like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. And I had to walk out on stage after that. And I thought, well, what are you going to do? It was a great experience. And I'd like to think he said it because he thought I could handle it. But afterwards, I did have the feeling as I came back down and walked down the steps, people in their 20s were coming up to kind of help me down the steps, like they had seen me in a completely different light after that.
That is actually a very funny point. That's a fantastic story, but it's so funny. When I told people at work my age, you could distinctly notice that they waited for you to let you through the
Yes.
door longer, as if there was some, immediate transformation that happened just in their knowing that you were older than
Right.
60. That's
Yeah, and I
fantastic.
think for that reason, sometimes women are reluctant to talk about it, because it's not because I think so much how we feel about it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because we see the reactions that we get. And
Yeah,
so many women are still in the workforce, and you're doing everything not to eliminate yourself from consideration for
right.
hiring. And so, I think it's a legitimate concern, but I also think we need to be brave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that brave and being courageous is a really important characteristic of being older. And we've done it before. I mean, you've actually just described 4 stages in your life where each one of them had like a huge, transformation that was required. And I think when you're over 60, it's just one more wonderful, phase to go through. And you've handled it with grace. So
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
have. So in closing, I mean, is there anything, there was one thing, let's just say one thing that you would like the community to know and that you'd like to tell them, what would it be?
Well, I would encourage all of us, any woman, to excavate your passions, to not let them die, to really go back and remember what it is that you love, and to use this time to really go out and go for it, whatever that means. And I've certainly gone back to travel. I had started that way and kind of put it aside, and now I'm back to it. And so I think, we all just need to be aware of that.
Hmm. Follow our passions.
Follow your passions, yeah.
Great
And
advice.
and write about it at the same time.
Yeah. You are an inspiration.
Oh, thank you. So are you. I love this community. I just love being part of it. I think it's just a wonderful time for all of us to gather together, all of us women,
Hmm.
and help each other and support each other, and go out there. So it's a wonderful thing that you've done. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Well, I'm just excited about it too because I think we're together. We've got 20,000 women now in the Facebook
It's
community.
incredible.
Yeah, it's great. And what it means to me though is that we have a voice. We have a voice now that
Yes.
can be heard. And some of the
Right.
stereotypes that you've broken through, the having a child at an older age, going back into a freelance business, where you're having to, fight for business all the time and you're a freelance writer. That's a tough world. And
Hmm.
you've done it. And so if anybody wants to reach you, Nancy, how do they do that? If they want to have
Very
a
easy.
Mhm.
Yes, they can just go to my website,
Okay.
which is nancymueller.com.
Okay.
And I would be happy to communicate with, connect with any of the women with at 60 and Me. And if I can help anyone in their writing or any area, just let me know.
Okay. It has been absolute pleasure to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time I'm in the States. And I wish you well. Thanks,
Great.
Nancy.
Thank you, Margaret.
Take
Good
good
night.
care. Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.